Sci-fi, horror, fantasy, absurdism in the extreme. It's all available here in the Tales from the Omni Vault book series. Check the description for Amazon links so you can get your copies and start reading today. Thank you all, and now, on to the video. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am the Omni Viewer, and the time has come to talk about the earth-shattering event that happened over this past weekend. That's right, G-Fest happened. Yeah, I know political stuff, but this isn't a political channel. I spent my weekend at G-Fest, and I had a blast. I'm gonna be doing more about it later, but first of all, I don't usually do these kind of videos, but I figured, why not? I'm gonna do a showcase of the haul I got at G-Fest. And I do have a reason that I'm building up to, but let's just start with the basics. Obviously, first of all, we have figures. Now, me, I'm not the person who usually goes for the X Plus statues, because as nice as they are, they would also take up most of my budget. So I still go for the simple Bandais. And as you can see, 2 of those are from Gamera Rebirth. So far I've only had the Gamera Bandai figure, and the Gamera Monster Arts figure. I did decide to splurge on that, but I realized I had to get some more, and after some consideration, had to go with Giron and Zigra. I think they turned out pretty well. I mean, obviously Zigra's pretty monochrome aside from the eyes, but Giron just looks really cool. Also, managed to get some good deals here with the Singular Point Anguirus and Kaiser Ghidorah. And I know some of you are probably thinking, wait a minute, doesn't he hate Final Wars and Singular Point? Well, yeah, I'm not overly fond of Singular Point, although I do like the way they redesigned Anguirus and what they did with him while they kept him around. I don't necessarily like the fact that they disposed of him so quickly and then proceeded to do nothing when they made his spike into a spear. But hey, that's the way it goes sometimes. And as for Final Wars, well, stay tuned for future videos. I have a bit more to say about that, especially after seeing it in the Pickwick with a huge crowd. One of the biggest showings of the entire convention, from what I understand. And then I got these 2. These are both from the Ultra series, and I'm pretty sure, given the dates stamped on their feet, that they are from Ultramantica. I know I've seen this guy. He's one of 2 dinosaur cyborg characters. I don't know if I've seen the episode with this one yet, so I'm not sure what his name is. I'm sure somebody's going to say down in the comments. But even not knowing, though, I mean, look at him. Fusion of plant, swamp monster, and robot? Even if I had no frame of reference for him at all, there's clearly an intriguing story of how this came to be. Far and away the biggest item I got is this plushie Titanicus from Titanic Creations. One of the last 2 they had on the table, and I even got a bit of a discount on it. I mean, look at this guy. How could you say no to this, right? This is a nice little stylization of the character. They didn't have any Gorgo ones, but, you know, I still would have gotten the Titanicus one anyway. I actually felt kind of bad because, like, I've already got all the Titanic Creation things. So I keep walking by the table, I'm seeing how they're doing, but I'm not getting anything there. And it's like, well, you know, had to do something. So, yeah. This guy's going in a nice little display alongside a plushie Godzilla I've got. So those were the figures. But I also got some other forms of interesting media. For example, when it came to movies, now, I have a bit of trouble getting movies at conventions like this, partly because, well, not many booths actually sell movies, and also because those that do usually have kaiju movies I already own. So I wind up getting non-kaiju movies instead. But I got some good finds here. One is The Creeping Flesh, which is one of the best horror movies that Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing ever starred in together. And yeah, I really do have to do a review of it at some point, so look for that soon. If not on Halloween, then at some point. And I got this double feature of Encounter with the Unknown and Where Time Began, which that latter one is a variation of Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth that in some ways is accurate to the book because it includes stuff that other movies leave out, and in other ways it's inaccurate because it just goes completely off the rails. But yeah, you'll find out more later. I used a little bit of footage in it for the Pellucidar video, so you've seen bits and pieces of it on my channel. There's also music that's available in Artist Alley. If you went down there, you would find this one table where the guy is selling what he calls ambient space music. Different subcategories, of course. But me, I collect concept albums, and I asked if there were any that kind of fit that bill. And there are these two, the Tycho Brahe one, and this one's called Cantus Umbrarum, which apparently was recorded inside a cave. And I actually got one the last time I was there called Moon Mummy as well. They sounded pretty good, also, because he plays samples. These have nothing to do with kaiju, of course, but so what? It's interesting music. Then, of course, I had to stop by the Kaiju Assault table because I'd gotten their main set and an expansion before, and I saw that they have a license with Weekly World News. You know Weekly World News, right? The satirical paranormal tabloid. If you've ever heard of Bat Boy or the alien who can predict the presidential elections, that's where they came from. And they've got an official license that includes new cards and a very short novelization written by the same guy who does the Realm of Goryo novels. By the way, if you notice I'm not looking at the camera right now, it's because the light is on, because I have some issues with the light fixtures above, and I don't want to be looking directly into the light. So, yeah, sorry about that. Anyway, that's as good an excuse as any to move on to the reading material. I've also got this graphic novel of the series Kodoja. This is volume 2, actually, because by the time I got in to actually make a purchase, he'd sold out of volume 1. I would have been in there sooner, but the line for the Artist Alley was ridiculously long most of the time. And it was ridiculously long because they basically put them in a broom closet. This very small room downstairs where you barely have any room to move around. I realize there aren't that many of them, but like, you couldn't have put them up in the main vendor hall. I know that gets crowded too, but whatever. I've got volume 2. I'm going to track down volume 1 and whatever comes after this. I know there's a 3rd volume and a 4th volume that's almost complete. So I'm looking forward to reading this. And then, of course, we have things I didn't purchase, but I did still get at G-Fest. So this first one is Zorzam and the God Who Devours, which one of the authors of this was Nathan Marchand of the Monster Island Film Vault. This he gave me in exchange for a copy of my latest book, Crisis on Ulalu. So it was a fair trade, equivalent exchange, and nobody's soul had to be bound to a giant suit of armor. Already started reading it. It's kind of a tribute to different pulp fiction characters, particularly the main character he told me is like a fusion of Tarzan and Conan. So, interested to read that one. But this last one also comes with perhaps my best story I can tell you about what happened at G-Fest. So, here's what happened. I was waiting outside the room where the writers' panel was going to happen. I wasn't on the writers' panel, but I did want to attend to support the people I know who were on there. And outside, a father and his 2 young sons came over, and they recognized me. I kind of got recognized throughout, but since I wasn't dressed in my usual attire, the recognition consisted mostly of people not saying, "You are the Omni viewer," but rather, "Are you the Omni viewer?" So, you know, still recognizable, but I can at least be somewhat incognito. But I was told that the oldest of the sons, who is currently 15, was actually inspired by my channel to write and publish his own book called, I don't want to mess it up, Digiverse 107. Right here. He gave me this and signed it and everything, and he's hoping that I'll review it, and I do intend to. I've already started reading it. I will say it is off to a very strong start, but I'll share my full thoughts when I've completed it. But yeah, that I think is the best story I've got from out of G-Fest, and that's why I wanted to do this video, because it was kind of a humbling moment. I mean, sometimes when you're doing what I do, which is very solitary work, and there are long periods where things just kind of plateau, sometimes you get to wondering if what you do even matters, or if it's really contributing anything. But then you have an encounter like that, where somebody comes up to you and says, "You inspire me to do my own stuff." And some people might use that to get all puffed up and say, "Well, yes, I did inspire you. Isn't that amazing of me?" But me, I see it more like, okay, I am affecting people, so that means I really do have to stay the course and be better. Because even if I don't wind up being one of the people who becomes a big name at some point, who knows? The next big name might actually be following me right now. And they might be inspired to write or direct or do the thing that makes them the next big name. And since I believe that what you experience media-wise does affect the work you will put out, I want to at least provide them something that's good. So, yeah, I would say that was the best story that came out of G-Fest for me. And there is more to say, but I'm going to need more people to help me with that. So stay tuned to this channel, and until such time as that happens, this is the Omni Viewer signing off.